Oh dear. Well, I'm out here at the Auto Wreckers to get a power seat recline motor for my Cadillac Fleetwood. This is a Buick Roadmaster. It's a 93. Although the interior looks different, a lot different, all the parts are pretty well the same. From the door handles, which actually I do like the chrome door handles better, to the power antenna that's in the back, which I might actually take that one. Yep, that's an original Delco power antenna. And over here we have a Chevy Caprice. Yep. This one has the 305. I think it's a 93. And this one is basic. As you can see, it's basic. So the guy told me that there's 2 Roadmasters out here, and I only see that one there. I'm a little bit pissed off about this because I have no way of getting this seat to come up or anything. So to add to the stress, I get to unbolt the seat and try to pull it out, because there is no way I'm going to get that out. So you see, that's what mine's supposed to look like, but it's broken. And the motor is right there. So, for mine, I can get mine out no problem because the seat can go all the way forward and I can raise it up. Unfortunately, we got no power. Okay, so far I got the front bolts out. Now I gotta get the rear ones out. You know, it's a shame about these cars because, from judging by the headlights, this car was oil sprayed, so someone took very good care of it. And then, unfortunately, probably belonged to an elderly person, and yeah, I got rid of it. So, but what's nice about these cars, though, ouch, if you ever wanted to take the interior out of this car, you can put it in a Cadillac Fleetwood, or vice versa. It's just amazing. This bench, I can easily put that in my car, and yeah, imagine that. Now this is going to be hard to get to because the bolts are really far in there, so I'm going to have to crawl down and get into that. That's not going to be fun. Oh no, it's it's right in there. Yeah. So, oh my god. Oh, okay. Trying to get inside this car is not easy, especially when the interior is all messed up. But that's the bolt that I got to get to, and to make things worse, oh my god, the other one's right there, underneath that plastic cover thing. So, I'm using a pair of pliers here because I forgot my wrench and stuff at home. There, got that son of a bitch off there. I gotta set the camera down. I'm gonna rest that up. There we go. So this is the motor here. This is what reclines the back portion of your seat. The wiring and everything is completely the same. This is part of the gear assembly, and this is what broke. This is the wire cable that spins the gears and stuff like that. I have to unbolt those two. This gets the motor out, and the bolt down there and the one right there, and the motor will be out. You need a 1/4 attachment, and you need to remove the 4 bolts. Okay, I'm just loosening them up. You can see the motor. And I'm going to use my screwdriver bit here. Okay. You don't need to save the bolts or anything because the car that you will be putting the motor into will already have the bolts, so it's not a big deal. Now in this case, this thing here is just to hide everything. It's kind of like a beauty cover, but we're just going to pull that out. We don't need that. There, with the use of the steering wheel, I got the seat held up. So using the pair of pliers, all you need to do is just grip on here. Don't clamp on it. You just put enough pressure on it so you can wiggle the motor out. Okay. Okay, so this is the motor taken out. This is the motor itself. This is the drive cable. And this is the gears that turn the seat. Now, when you do yours on your car, you know, bits and pieces may fall out of it. But in this case, it only happened because the seat is like flat down. So if you're working on your car, and if the gear pops out, it goes back in this side first. So like that. It just goes in, and there. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this motor piece here, this this gear right here is what's holding this one in. So when you're putting it back together, you're gonna have to use 2 hands to do this. But yeah, so this is what broke on my car. This is the cable that fell apart. And yeah, so really all I need to do is just put this cable in my car and it'll be fine. and use this to replace the one that's broken. Well, I guess I've determined why these Buick Roadmasters and other versions of this model have rotted rear quarters. My Cadillac doesn't have this. Like the factory antenna never had this on it for some reason. I don't know why. But one of the things I was able to determine is the water drips down in here, but has nowhere to go. So, yeah. That is shitty. Honestly. So, your car is basically designed to rot when you first take ownership of it. How sad is that? There's absolutely nowhere for it to drip out. Like, there's nothing on the ground. That's bullshit. Wow. Anyway, yeah. That's a design flaw if I ever saw one. So pretty much just like on that Buick Roadmaster, to get the power seat motor out of this Cadillac Fleetwood, it's pretty much the same setup here. You have the 2 bolts right there, and then underneath this beauty cover, you have 2 bolts right there, and those 2 have to be removed. You will need a 1/4 socket to get those out. Okay, so now you need a butter knife or a pair of pliers to pry this out gently. It's so difficult to do this with the beauty cover. On the other car I didn't care, I just ripped it out. So there goes the seat. It just fell back. And out with the old. In with the new. And again, as I said, the gear may fall down, so you will need 2 hands when you're putting the whole thing back in. I'm gonna unplug this. And pull that right out. But yeah, that's the busted piece and all. The only reason why I'm not bothering pulling the other end out of here is because look how far in that is. I'll be working on that for a while just to get that out. So rather than reuse this, I'm just going to reuse this entire piece here. I'm not going to bother installing a new motor because the motor that I have is fine, and the one that I have from the junkyard is currently downstairs. So that's just in case if the motor dies. But yeah, so now the seat is pretty well yeah. I would consider this job to be a 2-person job, considering that the seat has to be upright when you're putting it back together. So if you don't have a second person here to help you, just get a broom handle and wedge it up behind the headrest, and that should be fine. Oh God. And that gear, as you can see, has fallen down in there, which is not a big deal. All you need to do is just try to get this pin to line up and kind of move it back in place. It's not very hard to do. It's very simple. Here's our junkyard part. So that's what it's supposed to look like. And unfortunately for me, yeah, that's what that looks like. Yeah, very unfortunate. Okay. So, basically, this end of the cable here slides into the motor. The best way to get the cable back in that hole is to just simply pop the cable right out of the sleeve. Like that. Drop it down and keep turning until it sits like that. And then you pop this back on and push, so that way it's nice and snug. There, like that. And then you go to attach the part, and that's going to be quite fun. So she's in there, you can see. Now we're going to test it. And there. That's how you fix a reclining seat in a 95 Cadillac Fleetwood. This also goes for the 93 to 96 Cadillac Fleetwood, but also goes for the Chevy Caprice, Buick Roadmaster, Chevy Impala, Oldsmobile Custom Cruiser. It's very simple to do, but it's recommended that you have a second person help. Really, it's better if you have the seat out of the car and on its side, but you know, I'm not too keen about pulling the seat out of a car right now. I don't understand why GM did it this way. Would it have been so difficult to get a piece of metal and shape the ends like a square, rather than using a cable with wires wound around it? Like, I mean, that's what it is. It's thin. It's like, it's basically like this connector here. It's like this connector with the individual wires, but they're all twisted around each other to make one solid cable. I don't understand a car company like this would make a product like that. Like, it's just easier to make a cable out of solid metal with squared off ends, so that way it doesn't break. But this broke. And you know, this is still good. It's just pieces of the cable are stuck in there, and I just didn't want to fight to get it out, so I'm not even gonna worry about that. So yeah. Okay, so we're done.